This is Cassette Connection, the podcast where we discuss music and meaning with the people who make it.
This week we caught up with Sydney singer-songwriter Bonnie from Bonniesongs.
We did. And we talked about everything Bonniesongs, I guess. We talked about the folk music tradition in Ireland. We talked about folk music in general. We talked about her beginnings as a jazz drummer and then rolling into a singer-songwriter. Talked about writing music about monsters.
Here it is.
Hi, I'm Bonnie, and I'm going to be talking about my project, Bonniesongs. My first realization that I loved making music was playing with a family friend's keyboard. And I just thought it was the greatest invention in the world and that I was a musical genius. And I played all these like crazy drum sounds and stuff. And my parents were like, yeah, you're amazing. So I was like, wow, I'm so cool. Yeah, and then so I did keyboard lessons for a few years. I should have stuck with it, but I didn't. So now I'm terrible. I was never that good. And then my dad plays and makes guitars, so guitars have always been pretty big in my life. He just makes them for fun. He's just one of those guys who just like got into guitar, and then he was like, I think I could make one of these, and started making really good acoustic guitars and mandolins, and he's even made a fiddle that's beautiful. And so that, I guess, influenced me. But actually, I think there was like this terrible, sorry, this is probably way too long, but anyway, there was this terrible British teenage rock program on BBC, and there was a kid playing electric guitar, and that's when I was like, I want to play guitar, because there was like a cool kid playing electric guitar. So I think maybe there was a bit of a definition. Guitar had always been rich in my life, but it was only when I saw the electric guitar that I was like, I want to rock. So then I did some guitar lessons, and then I started playing drums and loved the drums, and they're like my spirit instrument, my other spirit instrument. I don't know, whatever. I did I don't know, I'm sure I'm skipping many musical experiences, but the bio end is did a jazz degree and drums. But I was always really a part of this DIY punk scene. So from when I was around 15, there was just like this awesome scene where I grew up in Kilcool in County Wicklow, Ireland. And there was all these cool bands called Kid Blunt and Soldiers Take Half and Foot and Mouth and all these wild bands. And I think that was a huge influence on my relationship with music. That's what, like, we just go to these packed gigs. It's probably similar for lots of people. Like that age, I guess, is so important. Your early your teens, I suppose. But I stayed in this scene throughout uni. We'd have house gigs in our weird sort of what's called, I don't know, abandoned bungalow that we lived in. And so I had these kind of two worlds of like trying to be become a jazz musician, but also was in some punk bands, and also loved to sing. But that was always kind of more of a secret thing. Or I did it like to compose for singers in jazz school. And yeah, skipping ahead, I went to a jazz workshop in New York, and met some Australians, and I'd always wanted to, for a long time I was like, I want to live in Australia, and I was really excited to meet Australians. And basically, yeah, when I came to Sydney, they became my friends, and I played lots of music, and Bonniesongs thing started more. I had to do this volunteer farm work for a few months, past Byron Bay, and in New South Wales. And I took just hardly anything, and I just took a little mandolin that I borrowed from somebody, which I didn't play that much of. I played a few Irish tunes, but and I was living in this tree house, which has been my dream, in this like hippie farm, and I just started missed singing songs, so I started writing songs and singing, and did a performance for the community there, and it kind of started from there, because that was the first time that I performed a set of music, just me singing and playing my songs. Swim into the air, waterful life I dig my friends in and fly into the air. I soar away up. Yeah, it started out with me and a mandolin, I guess, maybe 2012, 2013. And I played solo for a long time, got into loop pedals. I just wanted to create more sounds and create the sound of a band without the hassle of a band rehearsal. And that's just the way I wrote as well. Like, I just wanted to make it just for me. And I had a few collaborations, like with Fresh Arnett on cello, and I did this string EP with her, and Sasha Bode on viola. And then when I recorded my debut album, Energetic Mind, all these other layers were coming up that I hadn't been able to perform solo before. But I realized all along I'd been hearing drums and other stuff. So I was like, well, I better put that on. And then suddenly there was this larger sound that I had to replicate. Get in my way, nothing could harm me, no today. Above trees and houses of light, I'll stay up here until it's time to go home.
One of the things that you mentioned is being in the punk scene, and that does often seem to be something that comes up a lot. Can you describe kind of more what the Irish punk scene at that time was? Because I would have no idea.
I guess that was my world. So I'm not sure what else to compare it to. But it was this really strong community of like Kilcool, this little village that I grew up. Like, it's pretty small, but for some reason there's just heaps of these young people that had the same vision and had this. I'm not really sure how it all started there, but they put on regular gigs in this scout den near me, and they were just really awesome bands. When I think about it now, like, people were like 15, 16, and they were all ages gigs too, and well, I don't know, various kind of sounding. I don't know. There was some connection with like this Long Island DIY scene that was going on, but I'm not really sure. There was multiple little worlds, but I just think it's so important. That's like how I guess people who are musicians who have come from these backgrounds are still musicians, because it was just such an important time that we've like created this relationship with music, and being part of a community like that is just, I don't know where I'd be without it. I guess the music scenes are different. The sound is different. So that was a change. Like I guess like originally I was mostly based in the jazz scene here in Sydney, and that was a really different sound and emphasis. Like Ireland, the Irish music scene was like the director of the uni was Ronan Guilfoyle, and just there was this huge emphasis in rhythm and like, you know, weird rhythm patterns and odd meter and stuff. And I didn't really feel like that was as important when I got here. It was more about sound and vibe and groove. I think a little bit more than there. And there's also like a bigger trad scene of jazz and horn players here. And that's another thing, I guess. In Ireland, like, there's awesome players, but the scene is small, and the diversity of kinds of instruments even is so much smaller. So suddenly there was like trumpet players and saxophone players, and I was like, wow, I never get to play with these. So I started out with I made a jazz quintet called Crisscross, similar to the whatever 90s hip hop band, but not. With trumpet and saxophone and bass and piano and drums, and then it started to evolve with, I was like, oh, I guess I can sing and play drums, and I started using loop pedals. I look outside, try to dream. There's a lot that I noticed that was different in the jazz scene, and also the improv experimental noise scene. So I've been involved with Splinter Orchestra and the Now Festival and since I got here. And that was something that was really different. Like, I was always into free improv and free jazz and stuff, but I think the Sydney scene and maybe the Australian noise scene also has a really particular minimal sound maybe sometimes, and just a really different thing going on. It's really interesting. But for me as a musician, I guess I was also coming here alone from, the other side of the world, and felt like I had something to prove, and also felt like I had this extra independence. So I think that all influenced my musical journey, I guess. For me. On my bed, I try to sleep, I couldn't sleep. I look outside, try to dream.
take from what you just said there is the improvisation ideas or the kind of free ideas in your work in the EP, like the strings EP and your music. You tend to kind of balance between improvisation and then kind of more traditional song forms. How do you kind of navigate between the two?
I think as a musician, I'm a very floaty, watery person. I don't know if that helps. I'm a water sign, is what I tell people. So I just kind of like the music to flow naturally and organically, and that to me is I often end up in this with improvising and with experimenting and not dictating things too much, but leaving it to the musicians or the moment to figure out. So like that, I guess the strings EP was probably that's probably the best example of kind of improving up my songs. I had we have this suite, so it starts off with a 20-minute suite of 3 songs that have particular forms, kind of. Actually, the one in the middle is probably the loosest, little spider. And I guess a lot of the time when I'm writing, and in this case, I had a vibe that I wanted. I had a mood that I was trying to create. And I find that that's more helpful to describe to players I'm playing with. Like, let's try and make it a bit creepy and spidery or whatever. And yeah, and then, I'm not a viola player, or cello player, and whatever I'd write would never be as good as what they come up with. I don't know. I feel like I like to leave things a little bit open. And then when I'm playing by myself, I guess I want to keep it. I like to have moments that I leave a little bit optional of what I do, I guess, or how I'm feeling. I might interpret it differently. And I play with loops and stuff, so that kind of allows me to improvise with that a bit and create different sounds and stuff I can play with while still keeping a song form.
Cuckoo at midnight and gather the rain.
Are you carrying that kind of idea when you're just writing a song? When you were writing the songs for the album, were you thinking mood-wise and then going from there, or were you thinking like beginning with your lyrics, or how did you get started on the tracks for Energetic Mind?
I didn't write any of them for the album. I was just writing songs, and eventually it was just too much, and I was like, I need to actually record this in a collection that is consumable. And so I had some favorite songs that I liked, and I have some wonderful friends, Alex Dennison and Dave Trentmanis, who were part of creating the album. Dave is an engineer and Alex is a producer, and they've just been amazing. I wouldn't have done this album without them. They were always like, Bonnie, you need to do an album. What songs are we going to do? Let's meet up and decide. And so I played them. I sent them 20 different demos of songs, and they kind of came up with their favorites, and then we came together and we were like, well, I think I like this, and that's a bit similar to that, and picked it like that. And then actually Energetic Mind, the song, came way after, because it was a song I wrote after I'd recorded most of the stuff and I played live, and Alex was like, you should put that on. And then it was the title track, so it's funny.
In terms of just your kind of general vibe towards writing, where do you start? Do you go based on mood, or like you said before when you were kind of talking about improvising with the bandmates, with the strings that you were collaborating with, do you start your music writing process the same as in your songs?
Most of the time, no, actually. I wish I did, kind of. Because I'm normally I feel like the best songs and music making is just when you're jamming along with your guitar and you're just sort of waiting for a little inspiration moment, and then just kind of finding some presence and like following. I don't know, it just it often just happens kind of organically, or I'll start singing something and then that might feel a bit more emotional or a bit more honest, so that maybe like sometimes I'm kind of conscious of it, I guess, that of what I'm playing on guitar, or that would sound good with, or this sounds like zombies, or and with something like Ice Cream, which is a bit more jammy. Actually, I don't know if I was really conscious. I think it just fit. It just like came out of my mouth. Like I was just sometimes, that's another thing, I guess, when you're writing, you just, I'm mostly sing gibberish, and then sometimes you get a few words, and sometimes you stick with those words and try and develop it into something tangible, and then it all kind of feeds itself within moods. Like maybe you're sticking to this mood that you started with, or maybe you started writing about Frankenstein, and it's going to get a bit more scary and dark than it started out.
Cuckoo at midnight and gather fly away.
Yeah, sometimes I have a purpose of I'd like this to be like a fun, kind of grungy, dancey one, or indie rock one, or I'm just normally the acoustic floaty ones just kind of happen because I'm jamming in there. Then I might stick to that mood or not.
I could be anybody. I don't mind.
In terms of the overall song, are you writing and hearing like, okay, yeah, this one's going to be a jam out. I'm going to be playing in this odd time signature, and then we're going to jam out on it. And, I'm going to have the full band there. Or are you just kind of like writing your part and going from there? Or do you think about the full production?
Yeah, now I'm thinking about the full production. Whereas before, I don't think I was. I was like hearing, like, I guess feeling like, the feeling of drums, or a feeling of a bigger sound. But now that I play with a band and know what works together, I've been writing more for band, and like writing as I go, kind of thinking how everyone else is playing.
And does that your experience with drumming on top of being a guitarist and singing, does that kind of help you flesh out the entirety of the song before you even kind of start?
Yeah, I often play it on drums now. I would kind of sing what I was thinking and playing some drums, or like record guitar and voice parts and then jam along. But I found that this year or last year, whatever, it's most helpful to just get the band together, to kind of have a rough idea, and then get the band together and then see what works live. Sometimes when you record things, they don't really flow as well when you're like doing it solo, part by part.
I don't mind. Don't forget about me. I could be anybody. I don't mind. Don't forget about me. I could be anybody. I don't mind. Cuckoo
always write with the guitar. I start with the guitar. And normally electric guitar because I plug in to my loop pedal, my TC Helicon Voice Lab Touch Tube. And because I really just need to hear my own voice back. So I plug everything in and put headphones on, and that's how I normally write things. Yeah, I guess another thing that comes to mind was when I started playing with Freya, because I've been playing solo for so long. And then I met Freya at this workshop, and I was like, it would be cool to play with this person. She's cool, and I like cello. And so I started writing a song, Push and Pull, actually. It's on the EP. That's kind of based on this workshop we did, but all the time in mind, I'm like, oh, it'd be cool if cello did this, and like this could. I was writing for her in mind, yeah. And now I'm writing with my band in mind, like particular players, and yeah, this lineup so far.
Trying to define the Bonniesongs sound. How do you go about defining your own sound, I guess?
I have a hard time, but I guess most people have a hard time describing their own music because you're just like, oh, it just sounds like me. It's just the music I make. Like, yeah. But I guess that's lazy. I mean, yeah, it's interesting writing even my new songs. People are like, this reminds me of Foo Fighters. And I was like the biggest Foo Fighters fan, so I feel like that's really seeped deep in my music making. But yeah, I guess it's I really like grungy aspects, and I like distortion, and I like dissonance, and I like polyrhythms, and I like but I like ethereal stuff that can just take you to another world, and I like loops. So I guess it's if I was being fancy trying to answer somebody what I sounded like, maybe I'd say, okay, I'm going to improvise this sentence. I guess it would be indie folk grunge with ethereal moments.
So going off of that into some of the kind of themes and ideas that you explore through Energetic Mind in particular. Do you want to just talk about some of the kind of overall thematic ideas on the album?
Well, yeah, like I said, it was kind of a collection of songs to begin with. But when I went back to kind of really think about like, what is this album? What is this collection of songs? I did find some themes. And I guess I realized that I often have this theme of being someone far from home and being a bit displaced and like missing home, but yet being home, and just all of that, all the emotional stuff that is around that. But the other stuff, some stuff is just random. Like I'm often inspired by monsters and more sci-fi things. So like there's a song Barbara that's inspired by Night of the Living Dead, and Frank is inspired by Frankenstein. And I like going from someone else's perspective, and I think that's what Frank does. It's kind of switching between perspectives. And Barbara. And then like Cat and Mouse was written after I read this Emmeline Pankhurst book, all about the women's movement and the right to vote in the UK and in the world. And yeah, it was more about women's rights and what they went through at that time. So there was some like specific things I was writing for some of the songs, and then other things, and I guess sometimes throughout the songs, things just come up that you're like, oh, what did that mean? Was that me missing home or whatever? I can't think of like something specific, but often things there are threads that tie things together, or like keep coming out in songs for sure.
So writing about monsters and sci-fi stuff, what spurs that on?
Yeah, I think I like fascinated with the darkness, and kind of just delving into these dark characters and exploring and like wondering what they meant. Or like with Frankenstein, or Frank, and the book is about him. You know, he seems really scary, but actually he's a nice guy. And it's just everybody else's reaction to him. And he's misunderstood. And I guess Frank was a bit easier because it's like such a complex story and there's just so many emotions. And I don't know. I guess these stories more influence it. Or maybe characters just inspire more imagination when I have like a particular maybe visual reference too really helps. Actually, a lot of the time if I have a visual thing, it helps. Just like the song comes out way quicker.
But I'm too weak and feeble. There was nothing I could do. They're coming for you, Barbara. They're coming for you. They're coming.
Can you talk about the kind of overall aesthetic of the project?
I guess I didn't really think about it. I got Nick Mick, who's an incredible photographer and filmographer, did my music videos and did my photos that were my press shots and my album cover. So really, it was him. But yeah, we got together. We just had these few days. We were going to do both videos back to back, but it ended up, it kept raining on ice cream day, and I was like, it's supposed to be sunny, so we had to keep canceling. But yeah, I guess so. I mean, like my album cover was, we just finished, we just finished filming Ice Cream at the beach, and I just wanted that to be summery and fun and just jumping around, being silly around the sea. Which was, and then when we finished, we were like, well, let's go for a swim. And then this beautiful sunset happened, and Nick was just like inspired and was taking pictures of the sun, and then he was taking pictures of me, and then as well my wet hair after our swim, and he was just like in his underpants, so that's what he swam in, and he just like suddenly picks up the camera and it's just like and yeah, and then it just ended up being the cover. And I guess that I went with this. I really liked that picture, and I liked my yellow t-shirt at the time, and I kind of just stuck to these photos and that vision, and I liked it looking fun and casual, and summery too, because that's my Australian life. And then I guess Frank was like a lot more particular because it was a scary video. So I used to be a face painter, so I was really excited I got to face paint everybody, make them look spooky, and made these dresses out of curtains I found. And it was just the best time. It was actually one of the highlights of my life was filming Frank, because it was just like the silliest couple of days.
Knocking at the door. All I can do is sit here shaking. They're coming for you, Barbara. They're coming for you. They're coming for you, Barbara. They're coming for you.
That actually goes pretty well into kind of talking about the collaborations you do and have done in the past. And I guess that's kind of one aspect of it, is kind of inviting someone to kind of do the visual collaboration, I guess. But in terms of musical collaborations, how do you go about that process?
Yeah, Arena Sally Hartman's another Irish artist. So I used to play drums and sing in her band in Ireland, and she reached out to me to try and write a song together, and I was like, what? That could never work. I've never written a song with someone else. Yeah, that was really different for me, that process, because we were also doing it from the other side of the world. So she would send me a little part, and then I tried to get the next part, and we just like puzzled it together. And then I went to Ireland and we recorded it. Blood Moon. Yeah, what else is there? I guess collaborating with Freya. Originally we played as a duo a lot, and I don't know, how do we collaborate? I guess I just had songs and I was like, play on these, and she's just such an amazing listener and sensitive player, and just everything she does is correct. And then if it's not, I'll be like, can you play more like this? And then she'll get it right or whatever. So she's very easy to collaborate with. We love playing together. And we recently, you're asking about the Sydney Festival, we did this collaboration of Danish and Irish folk songs, which was really different for me anyway, and it was fun.
Oh, I'm afraid your time is up today. Oh, it's too late. You cannot run away.
How much has the kind of folk tradition in Ireland kind of influenced your music?
I don't know. I guess everything that you listen to and play or are a part of at some point all influences every music you do, I think. So, I mean, like I said, my dad plays guitar and mandolin, and I grew up with him playing Irish songs, and since I was a kid, would be up till like 2 a.m. like while he plays songs at a pub or whatever. And so all of that stuff seeped in, and I play a few tunes on mandolin. I'm trying to get more into Irish music this year, actually, or the last couple of years, with my partner Tom, who's play with in Bonniesongs. He's getting really into Irish music, even though he's from New Zealand. He's playing like every instrument and knows way more tunes than me. So I feel like there's pressure to get on top of it. But yeah, I feel like the rest is just like, I don't know, like my Irish accent, and I guess a little bit I guess is like some people say I have this like Irish lilt sometimes, and I guess it's just what I've been hearing a lot in my life, I guess. But I can't think of a specific influence like that I'm trying to portray or something.
Oh, I'm afraid the creature's on its way. Oh, it's too late. This thing is here to stay. Waking, falling, running, taking anything that lives. Nothing can be safe from me.
How has it been working with Small Pond and like Artist Catharsis and that kind of stuff?
Oh, awesome. It's just been like just so great to have a team. I guess that it's not just me pushing my music, but having other people be like, have you done this? And you should do that. And let's do this. And I've done that. And yeah, it's nice. It's so nice to have been working with them all on this. And it just came, I just feel really lucky. Like Lachlan approached me a few years ago. It was like, like your music and something you want to release. And I think we had already recorded strings, and I sent it to him, I'm pretty sure. And then that was the first thing we put out, just made a few CDs. And then he was just starting this relationship with Small Pond in the UK and sent them my music, and they were happy, or they were, excited to work with me too. So yeah, just really thankful to have a cool team and to also have this entrance into the UK, because Australia is obviously completely separate to the rest of the world. It's very isolated, and it's really hard to get in on these other scenes, especially the UK. So yeah, I think it's really important, or it's definitely helpful to have this established community already there that can just be like, hey, UK, look at this person.
I'm a monster, and I'm coming for your head. I'm a monster. I'm a monster, and I'm coming for your head. Could have been me, could have been me, could have been me. I'm already a monster.
I feel really, really lucky that I had a few gigs in the UK and Ireland, but I also really didn't get to do that much. I had this UK tour with Natalie Evans, who's an awesome harpist and singer, and she's on Small Pond, and we drove around the UK together and played solo shows, and it was awesome. Yeah, and I guess there was a big difference of how shows are booked. Maybe that's a boring thing, but to notice. But for me, as an artist, I was just like, whoa, this is really different. Like they have bookers, like there's certain people who just either they're really passionate, like I can't think of what that thing's called, but yeah, some people are just really passionate and they just want to make sure that cool bands are playing these things, and they'll give you money rather than, I feel like in Australia there's, especially at the moment, it's all about like the band has to hire the venue and pay the sound guy, and the venue takes a cut as well, and it's just like it's really detrimental long term for artists to just keep doing that. And yeah, it's always exciting to go to new places and play, and also play in my homeland. I've only had one Bonniesongs show there actually, and it was very fun. Yeah, and then New Zealand, I was just there for the last 9 months and couldn't go anywhere else, so I was like, well, must play some shows. And yeah, I got to play with some different people. Yeah, it's great. It's interesting. The audiences are all different. I feel like Australian audiences are really particular, and they're my favorite because that's what I've mostly had. And that is like the talking back and like interaction you get while on stage. Like people are just so, yeah, like, hey, or I like your hat, or like, what's that song about? And you know, people just love to like banter with you on stage, and that really just relaxes me. Like I like it. Whereas New Zealand, I felt like, and definitely a lot of UK, people were really polite, and you know, which is also a lot of the time lovely. Like people are quiet and listening, but then like I like to do banter, and I like to try and make people laugh in order to relax, and I couldn't really do that as easy sometimes. I mean, sometimes it worked, but that's something I noticed. I was like, wow, it's really different to Australia. Nobody's chatting with me.
Just of me, I understand, but I feel something's underhand. Suspicious that something's kept from sight, but I don't want the things you
The very last question that I do like to ask everyone is, what have you been listening to recently?
Oh no. What have I been listening to? I'm just gonna check. Well, I guess my most recent Bandcamp purchase. Actually, maybe I'll just double check my purchases. Has been Adrian Lenker solo album from she's been Big Thief, and it's just this beautiful thing that album that she recorded like while US is in lockdown and stuff. Like did it all last year. She went into a cabin and recorded all this acoustic stuff and then put it out last year, and it's really awesome. And then in my car, I just did a long drive yesterday from the Blue Mountains, and I actually have a really weird CD collection in my car going on at the moment. It's like Savage Garden, then the Drones, and then some other weird bands, and I don't know, yeah, it's all over the place.
Energetic mind over body leads to anxiety. like mind over body leads to anxiety. Grab your bike and ride and ride and ride and ride until the water. And sometimes I feel calmer when I can see the waves and taste the salt in the air. Way too far away, your voice tells you it's not the way to go. Ding, ding, dong, dee, dong, dong, dee, ooh, dee, ding, ding, dong, dee, dong, dong, dee, ooh, dee, ding, ding, dong, dee, dong, dong, dee, ooh, dee, ding, ding, dong, dee, dong, dong, dee, ooh, dee,
The song you just heard was the title track, Energetic Mind. Ben, you here?
I am.
Nice. It's good to have you.
Thank you. And it's good to be here.
Well, that was a nice interview with Bonnie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was very lovely, wasn't it? Well,
Some talking points.
some talking points, some general observations,
Yeah.
some thoughts.
Yeah, what'd you got?
Well, I thought it was a very lovely interview. Bonnie's music is very kind of ethereal in a way.
No, that's a good assessment.
Yeah, very
Floaty.
floaty. I like the singer-songwriter that goes above and beyond the kind of standard song structure-esque thing, and she has a very well kind of defined vocal aesthetic as well, vocal timbre, just the way she kind of carries herself on a track.
Yeah.
I also think it's quite interesting to go from being the drummer and going from being the rhythmic backbone to being the singer-songwriter. It kind of influences the songwriting process in a different way, and I think that is kind of very apparent. You don't really hear many singer-songwriters. Well, I mean, this is kind of like a blanket statement, but you don't hear many singer-songwriters really thinking about, odd timings. Or,
No. Well, I think, coming at it that way, it sort of changes your perspective on things in a very big way. And I guess unless, I don't know, you're hectic into theory or you're a drummer, you don't really think about those kind of things.
Yeah, you're not thinking about an odd timing or putting in a rhythmic pattern that, isn't a standard 4/4 or something like that.
Yeah.
I also think the kind of character writing, the one thing I really like about Bonnie's work is the kind of the darkness of it, the monster aspect of it, everything
Kind of
like
lurking
that.
around.
Yeah. But then there's also this very bright and, like I said, kind of like ethereal layer on top of it.
Juxtaposition.
Yeah, it's very nice. What else can I say? It was a great interview. Thank you to Bonnie for coming on the show. Thank you, the listener, for listening to the show. And you know the drill. Please subscribe, leave a rating if you like, follow wherever you can, and potentially tell a friend. That would be great. But until next time, bye-bye.
Bye.